Hello, everyone, and welcome to Edge Talk Radio with Angela Zabel. That's me. And today we are here. We are going to be talking about the guided awakening with the great Mother Malia. And we are with CEO and author Jennifer Longmore. This is going to be a fun one. I can't wait to get into it. So, who am I? My name is Angela Zabel. I have connected to spirit my entire life, working with a team in the non-physical, sharing messages from a multitude of realms with people. I am a teacher, coach, medium, radio show host, retreat host, and I am also a writer, and I do speaking engagements, offering guidance, mediumship, intuition, offering online and in-person group sessions and private sessions. I also have classes and the Amplified Universe monthly membership. This is a group growing our connection to us, our world, all that is around us, and our role in it. So this is also about sharing knowledge and working with others throughout the world. You can find me on pretty much all the social media aspects out there, but go to my website, angelazabel.com. And today we are here with the Edge magazine. And Edge magazine is the leading events and media resource dedicated to all aspects of holistic living, wellness, and the mysteries beyond, sharing information, wisdom, and resources committed to promoting businesses, organizations, individuals who support our collective journey to wholeness and balance. They are currently distributed in 30 states plus Canada with over 17,000 magazines per printing, and they also have a vibrant online magazine which reaches over 42,000 people per month. You can have the magazine shipped to your drawer, to your door, not your drawer. Stay up to date with the newsletter and become a drop spot. You can check out more at edgemagazine.net. And today we are here with Jennifer Longmore, and this is gonna be so interesting. I can't wait. But when the world is facing its deepest crisis, she channels Mother Malia, the great mother. She steps in to offer guidance and soothe the waters of turmoil for humankind, to show the way to a spiritually realized and awakened existence, to restore the original gold code as spiritual and human beings. And her return to the planet at this moment, that's very important, underscores how deeply that wisdom is needed. However, the way she returned will definitely get your attention, or it did for Jennifer Longmore. If you are not familiar with Jennifer, you should be. Jennifer is an award-winning CEO, 11-time best-selling author, and founder of the #1 Akashic Records Training School in the world. And she has been doing this for the past 20 years, and her school has certified over 100,000 consultants in over 100 countries and has been translated into 5 different languages. She is a beloved teacher and brilliant businesswoman who has been leaving her mark for 2 decades. But quietly, known to only a few, she began to channel Mother Malia and sought the Great Mother's guidance when facing situations and challenges that she could not clearly answer herself. And one of those occasions, while guiding a retreat for students in Hawaii, she invited Mother Malia to step in with the answers. And that's when it happened. Knowing the time had come for the planet, Mother Malia's consciousness took over Jennifer's body so she could have a physical presence in the 3D world. And today you'll hear about that transformation. Mother Malia comes to Earth during times of great transition, like the one we're currently in, and like the collective ascension we are experiencing now. And her new book, Daily Messages from Mother Malia, the Great Mother, a spiritual guidebook to awaken your full potential and inspire individual living every day of the year, provides daily kernels of inspiration. And we all need that right now. And I want everyone to make sure to go to her website. It's called soulsjourney.ca. And also she has a Sacred Hive membership and also she's on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and more. And all those links and everything will be down below. She also has a YouTube channel, Jennifer Longmore Soul.Journeys. Those will all be there. She also has training for channelers if you're interested in that. And Daily Message from Mother Malia is also on Amazon, along with her Akashic Records Oracle Cards deck, guidebook, and so much more. There's also a free gift for the listeners, so make sure to check that link down below. And she also has a membership. She has the Liquid Gold, business strategies, heal your money story, all about prosperity. There is so much on there. You need to go check her out today. And
Oh,
I am so happy to have you on here, Jennifer. Thank you so much. And Mother Molia, because I know she's here.
yeah. So thank you so much. It's just such a great honor and joy to be here with you, and a great privilege. And so thank you for inviting me on because, well, I know we talked privately. You know, it's obvious that we needed to reconnect. So it's lovely to see you again, as I mentioned. And yes, I suppose with everyone listening, you know, I'm often asked, how come I've never heard of Mother Malia? And I said, the better question to ask is, why haven't I heard of Mother Malia?
Mm,
If
that's a
they're going
very
to,
good question.
exactly, you know, in a world filled with distortion, they are the controllers. I will just say, I call them the Slytherins just to be playful, you know,
I like that
because,
name.
well, because we really want to be grateful for them because they have agreed to play the role that they've played to help us with our ascension. I understand on a human level, we can judge it and say, why are they doing this to us? Why are they doing this to our planet, etc. But I promise you, this has all been contracted. We already knew what we are signing up for. They have just taken a little too far. They are now working outside of the agreement, and that's why we are restoring the agreement, reclaiming our planet, and restoring heaven on earth. And that's why I'm here. But my point is that if I have no significance, then why did they revere me in Greece? Why did they name an island after me? Why did they name a palace after me? I don't mean that in the ego realm. I just say that if I am not as significant in history, then they will never have done those things. But they have obliterated the aspects of history that are very important to the restoration of humanity and our original coding, which is what we are here to restore.
And how are you looking at doing the coding to bring people back into the coding as you're here?
Yes, well, I am the original code.
Mm.
So I operate from neutrality and above. I am in a state of joy 24/7. Now, I just want to be very clear with people because these are just, you will find that the words often are substandard. And Angela, I know you feel the same way, and probably many of you listening, you know, the human words are just inadequate. Not to mention the human words are not our words. They belong to the Slytherins. So when we speak them, we want to be very mindful because we don't want to keep casting spells over ourselves into poverty, into despair, into suffering, etc., because that is how many of the words are designed. Now, my point for sharing that is that, geez, I just had a brain fart. I apologize. We were talking about,
As you've been talking
oh,
about the
yes,
words.
yes,
Yes.
thank you. And so I operate from neutrality and above, and I use the word joy is my point. But it is not that joy, because that sounds simplistic to the human brain. It is that the highest frequency expresses as joy. And this is what has been interfered with because, well, for example, most humans can hold joy for about 5 minutes before they bump back out of the body. They bump back into suffering, complaining, commiserating, etc. There's no judgment when I say that. That is all by design. The average light leader can hold joy for about 30 minutes, and then they bump out. Now, Mother Malia has been very clear that if the light leaders can train their field to hold joy, to sustain joy for a minimum of 3 hours a day, that is how we tip into mass consciousness, you see? Because imagine what happens, because we are in a frequency war. So people think, oh, I need to buy, I need to protest, I need to do these things, etc. And I'm not saying don't do that. If that allows you to feel like you're doing something, that is okay. But we are not, this war has been brought upon us. We are not, I would just say for ease, in human terms, we are not choosing it. But does it stand to reason that if we are going to win a frequency war, that we bump the frequency? And so imagine what happens if we can all sustain the joy for 3 hours a day, how that tips us into mass consciousness. And then the light leader agenda is the agenda that runs the show. not the artificial agenda, not the transhuman agenda, not the controlling agenda.
I love that. And I'm going to
Yeah.
ask a question because I know I'm just hearing them. I'm hearing the question coming in.
Yeah.
When you're talking about people holding the frequency of joy for 3 hours a day, I'm hearing, is that 3 hours all in one chunk, or can it be broken
Yes.
up over time?
All in yes, to give you an example, this will be a funny example. So, in the middle of the night, my cute little bladder wakes me up and says, "Yoo-hoo, time to go to the bathroom." And I start to chuckle when I wake up and say, "Oh, thank you, bladder, for getting my attention." And then I giggle, and then my husband giggles because it's contagious. You see, I'm always in a state of joy. Of course, when I'm sleeping, whatever, but all day long, I'm in a state of joy. I'm in awe of literally everything. And so I really get it, because because my human is still present, you see, it's just that Malia controls the mouth. And so my human, I have no choice but to go along for the ride. But you have to also know, everyone, I was very intentional about creating pristine conditions to be a clear channel, right? So that required me, prior to Malia coming in and taking over the body, essentially, living here full time, I will say, I needed to be an impeccable steward of the body. I needed to be an impeccable steward of my consciousness. And I needed to be very intentional in creating pristine conditions to be a vibrational match to hold an energy this big, 24/7. Now, I say this because as we ascend, this is just going to happen for many people. It will just be in part, like, yes, I'm aware of what happens on the world stage. Or sorry, that's just not the right way I want to say that. I'm aware of what the agenda is, I suppose I will just say. How much of my energy goes towards the agenda? None. I am
Nice.
aware of the fact that they are here, and I will be calling them back into attention. I am here in part to take down the Slytherins. That is in part my role. So that is why I understand them. That is why I really am clear on who I am dealing with.
Nice.
And I don't focus on them. My focus is on how do I pollinate more frequency. And so what happens is, because I'm in neutrality and above at all times, people can expand very quickly in my world and expand into the truth of their original coding, because they are safe. When we are in non-judgmental environments, we instantly transform, because we are not, there's no resonance with anything other than neutrality and above. If I came into a place where, even let's say I was judging myself on, as we're interviewing right now, you will actually match me with judgment simply because I'm even just bringing my own self-judgment to the table. Even if there's little tinges, people respond to the frequency. If the frequency is neutral, and I am going to be the frequency that people calibrate to, they know they can tell me anything. They're safe. They know that well, do you mind if I just share a little bit about money for a moment?
Absolutely, because that's
Okay,
a big
it's
issue that I felt was
important.
coming up to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And so here's the thing, everyone, and you might not be very happy when I tell you this, because yes, there are some complications around money, of course. Trauma impacts our ability to feel safe enough to hold it. We're always going to hold more money when we feel safe enough. We're always going to grow and take leaps and travel, all the things, when we feel safe. Additionally, if we have neurodivergence, of course, there can be some money blindness, I will call it, that impacts our relationship with money. Then we have a nervous system issue, where if we are already overstimulated, we can't handle even more stimulation, even if it is good, because the nervous system needs to be regulated. So that aside, that is very important to deal with. So I'm not at all bypassing that. But here's the real money issue. Is everyone ready to hear?
Oh, I think they're all ready and
Yes.
waiting.
Okay. So, Angela, you've only been speaking with me for a few minutes, but I'm sure you can tell that I don't have a mission. I am the mission.
Yes. And I think it is so refreshing to hear that, because
Yes.
the other thing I just wanted, they don't want me to back up a little bit. When you talked about non-judgment,
Yeah.
it's the non-judgment for yourself and everyone around you. so huge right now. That is like a big key to so much around us. If everybody hears that and hears it loud and clear, that is such a huge key, the
Yeah.
non-judgment.
Yes. And if you are judging, don't even judge that. That's the thing. We judge ourselves for
Yes.
judging. But here's the thing, that's your first cue to say, oh, that's program. Because
Oh,
in our original coding, we don't judge. It is impossible to judge. It is impossible to have problems in the possibility paradigm in the new earth, which is where we're headed. So back to the mission, you see, if I am separate from the mission, then it is a thing I might tend to when it's convenient. I will look at it and say, oh, the magnitude of that, I can't possibly do that. But
yes.
I am the mission. Just me, just my frequency, just your frequency is already the contribution. Now,
Yeah.
when I'm guided to move that frequency around, like I am to go to Greece or other such things, then there's a reason for that. I don't question it. I just say, well, apparently the mission is calling for that. But
Right.
so what is happening for people, and again, this is programming. So I really want to be clear, there's no judgment.
Mhm.
The real issue with money is that people are afraid of their mission. They're
Mm.
afraid of the magnitude of their mission, and they are afraid of the potency of their mission. And when we understand that we are the mission, we are actually afraid of our own potency
Mm.
and being able to hold that. And so if I am afraid of my mission, for example, if you told my human, you're here to take down the Slytherins, I will say, oh goodness, how am I going to do that, etc. But in my energy as Malia, I just giggle about it. I find it quite delightful. I say, yes, of course, yes, of course we will do that when we will build heaven on earth. And as they pop up, we will whack-a-mole them and just boink, boink, boink them away.
I love
But
that reference.
yes, and so we are in a time of urgency. I don't think that's lost on anyone. And I say this with great love and affection, we can no longer afford to put the monkey mind before the mission.
Mm.
We can no longer afford it. And what happens for people, and I've seen this because keep in mind, as you know, I've been doing this for 20 years, and a big part of the question I've answered for 20 years is, what is my purpose? But people don't want clarity on their purpose because they usually know.
That is very true.
They want permission. They want to feel safe enough and supported enough to live their purpose. They're afraid, what if I go destitute if I live my purpose? What if I got it wrong? What if? But you're not like, what will happen is people then will judge the fact that they're not living their mission. Then they go into a shame spiral, and then
Yeah.
they will feel guilty. And then that is what actually holds people back. It's hard to create when we're feeling, you know. And so with money, the other piece I would like to share is that money is the language spoken here. It's just the language spoken here.
Yeah.
And so whether or not we like money is because, especially if people are saying, oh, that's fiat currency, I know who create fiat currency, etc., it doesn't matter. We came here to infiltrate their system so we could implode it from the inside out. We
Yes.
have to understand their language enough, but we also have to use our ancient technologies to understand how to outcreate it. And so if money is the language spoken here, then we don't need to judge it. We actually can get excited and say, okay, well, if money is the tool that is going to help me accelerate my mission, then I'm going to make it a high priority actually to learn the language, simply so that I can play the game, so that I can exact my mission, so that I can enjoy heaven on earth.
I love that where you said so you can play the same games. You can play the game with the
Yeah,
money to make it work for you to make the heaven on earth because that's what we're all here for. It's
yes.
just to have that joy, to have that fun and and to create all these different things and create it for everyone, not just a few, but for everyone. It's so important. So
Yeah.
important at this time.
So we
And
will judge it, we will judge the money. Then we
yes.
will judge ourselves for judging the money. We will judge people for having it, not having it, and then judge ourselves for judging them. We will judge ourselves for wanting more, and then judge ourselves for judging ourselves. You see, it just literally, this is part of the inversion and distortion that's on this planet. If we
Yes.
remember that we are the ceremony and the celebration, there is nothing wrong with us. There is nothing to be fixed. There is only restoration. then what? We only know how to move through this world in problems, fixing problems one after another after another. That is one of the paradigms we must leave, because the new earth is the possibility paradigm. There are no problems in the new earth. And I would just like to clarify, because people say, what about systemic this and what about trauma? Those are not problems. Systemic isms, I will say the racism, the sexism, all of the isms are systemic. Of course, we are dismantling that. No human left behind when we go to the new earth. Trauma is trauma. Trauma is not a problem. Problem means when an example would be, I go to the grocery store and someone doesn't hold the door open in front of me when I go in. And I leave neutrality and I make meaning, because that's what judgment is. I have left neutrality and I'm making meaning of a situation based on my perception. And so how I receive that door not being held open for me is that person is being rude. And so I stew through the whole grocery store. I get home, I tell my husband, I call all my friends, I type it on the Facebook, and I keep reliving that, and I want to bond through problems because that is what we have been taught as the humans, But we don't know, did that person just get a stage 4 diagnosis? Did they just get served divorce papers? Did they just find out their child has leukemia? Did they just have to say goodbye to their beloved pet? Did they just get fired from their job? We have a way of personalizing all of those things and then magnifying them into problems. Or we will let people into our lives that are, maybe not operating at the same resonance as us. I will just leave it at that. But we don't let them go. And then we want to keep telling everyone, and maybe even hiring healers and everyone, clear my energy, this person, blah, blah, blah. But we bask in the problems. That kind of thing simply cannot exist in the new earth, because we are now operating in possibility. So we're operating in the penthouse now. We're not operating in the lobby.
Nice. I like that. I like that. And I think it sounds really easy to do when you have people that don't resonate with you anymore, that are kind of in that drama response in there and that judgment response. And for you to move beyond it, it means you're leaving some people behind. It feels like you're leaving some people behind. Do you feel, and this is a question, do you feel that it's more enabling to keep having the people by you, and you're almost hindering their growth and yours by staying in those relationships?
Well, yes, because you see, one of the major paradigms we have to leave, and this is a big part of the program, this is really the overarching program, which is savior, sacrifice, suffering. That
Yeah.
is how they informed their religions, which we know all about that, the mind control, all the various things, are all rooted in the inversion of savior, sacrifice, suffering, which is the inversion of the creation codes, which is creation and love and sovereignty. The sacred bee, the sacred cow, the sacred horse. That is what forms the creation trinity. And many other things are important, of course. But so what happens is, then what do we have? Well, then we birth things like codependency.
Hmm.
Right. And so, for example, the healers don't always like it when I say this, but that's okay, because this is truth and you know it in your original coding, is that when we subscribe to the broken healer paradigm,
Hmm.
where everyone's broken and they need me to clear again, and they need me to clear again, and oh, now I have this new thing to fix. There comes a point where fixing becomes a distraction to living the mission.
So the question, and I've heard this from different healers also, where they're fixing themselves, it's releasing, it's doing all this. What is your recommendation, if there's, for the healers out there, for the people who are holding that light, when they're working with people who are struggling or finding it challenging to move into this next level, understanding the resonance within themselves? Is
Yes.
there something to
Oh,
offer them?
yes, of course. Thank you very much for asking that. So our job is to stay in the penthouse. So when people are walking along the street, let's say it's in Manhattan, I will just make that up. If anyone's been, it's a nice busy street. There's tons of penthouses. You say, look at all these big buildings. Oh, goodness. And you say, that one, I want to go in that penthouse. There's medicine for me in that penthouse. So you go in the lobby, which is what I call the monkey mind. You buzz the intercom. You say, hi, I'd like to come up in the penthouse. And it's our job to say, great, beep, and we buzz them in, because everything about getting in the building, getting on the elevator, getting up to the penthouse is very easy. What will happen? People will say, can I just talk to you a little bit in the lobby? What's it going to be like when I come up to the penthouse? I don't know. Talk me into coming into the penthouse. Well, you came to my building. You said you want to come in the penthouse. Why am I talking you into coming into the penthouse? So what will happen is, even if we stay in the penthouse, but we're having conversations over the intercom when they're in the lobby, trying to convince them, trying to save them from themselves, trying to save them from their suffering, we are actually doing them a disservice, because we are meeting them in the very energy they're trying to leave behind. So we're trying to make them more comfortable in the very energy they say they want to leave.
Mm.
So then people might get on the elevator, and then they might press the stop button on the 10th floor, right in between, and say, I'm deciding. I'm going to be in limbo. I might even stay on this elevator for 5 years, deciding, do I want to, is it more comfortable for me in the familiar, the monkey mind, the lobby? Or am I going to give myself permission to just soar and go up in the penthouse? Because you see, in the penthouse, it is 360 degrees of window. It is full awareness. You are above all of the nonsense. And I don't mean that in judgment, of course. I just mean the crunchy bits and so on in the human world. We're
Yes.
able to hold a higher perspective and see things with a broader range, broader perception. And so what a lot of healers are doing, because this is the programming, okay? And this and some of you are not going to like me when I say this, that's okay. Your job is not to transmute energy. That is old world. That is old world healing, okay? Because that is a fixing energy. So for me, I stay in the penthouse, I pollinate. I am the bee. I fly around, I say beep, 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 and I drop little gold dust everywhere, right? Am I going to affect more change on the planet if I just fly around everywhere sprinkling gold dust? Or am I going to accelerate the ascension by constantly taking the elevator down? Literally, because healers will do this. Where's the bad energy? I've got to find it and transmute it. Oh, that energy is bad. I've got to fix it. Oh, I went into the mall. Oh, there's bad energy over there. That's a lot of work. That is the hard work paradigm. That is the problem paradigm. That is the fixing paradigm. Do we really think, now that you have spent time with me, do you think I have any problems?
No, I don't.
Right? And so, but this is how we are all designed in our original coding to operate. Okay.
Yes.
And back to the money piece, just as an aside, the reason why every single human wants money, and why I will love for none of you to ever feel bad about it again, is because we are designed to be. We are designed to be, to create, and to have experiences, and those things are wisdom, and then we just keep cycling through that. Money gives us the space to be living on this planet.
Mm.
Money gives us the spaciousness to step away from all of the doing that we probably don't want to do, and to just be, so that when you start every day, you say, what shall I do today? And I know I use the word do, but you get what I mean.
I get what
So
you mean.
So the healers, and I used to do this, so there's no judgment. Because we're designed to constantly be the zappers. I've got to zap the bad energy. No, that means you have to exert an immense amount of energy to bring your energy to be in resonance with these frequencies that you don't want around you, instead of staying in the penthouse and requiring energies to calibrate to you. You want to be the highest point of energy in the room and have all the other energy come up to you. But then healers say to me, well, then what happens to my business if I'm no longer fixing people? Well, you have to learn how to speak to the humans. Of course, you have to speak to them where they're at. They are suffering, or they believe they're suffering. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They do have real human, I would just say, things going on. But our job is to lead them into the penthouse. And they might not all come, because some people, for a variety of reasons, choose to stay in the lobby or choose to stay in the elevator. But our job is to help, especially now, to help people ascend. How are we helping people ascend if we're constantly descending to match the energy?
Very true. Very true. And the other thing I was, when you brought up the fact that we're always, you by you always going down, you can't bring them up. You're going back down. So how are you holding that energy? And for people to realize by holding that energy, by being that person in the room where people might look at you going, are you ever going to get angry? Are you ever going to, can you find something bad going on today? For you to be that person where they're like, how can you do that? That's the key. I feel, let me know if I'm wrong on that, but I feel it's the key to be the one where you don't let it affect you. You understand it, you know it,
Yeah.
you can keep up to date on things, but it doesn't have to take you down on the heart energy, on that emotional line. And
Yeah.
knowing they're bringing me back. There's something you said about some people will never ascend there on this lifetime. Some will never do that. And to know that that's okay. Don't judge them. And just like the Slytherins, like you talked about, they're also helping so many other people realize maybe that's not what I want to do. I do want to ascend. So the people that are here taking that, I say sometimes they're taking sometimes the hardest, the most challenging role of being the ones to stay in that energy to help others see them, understand them, and move beyond them just energetically, not judgment wise. They're all doing a role, but
Yeah.
to see them and I look at them with love and understanding of the role you're taking. This may be a more challenging role, but wow, how many people you're helping by doing so.
Yes, exactly. And let's look at the gift of 2020 by the Slytherins. Now, it might sound odd, but um, many people were, and I get it because everyone had very different experiences based on all kinds of factors. I'm simply saying that there will be people that were grateful that the world shut down. It allowed them to stay at home and be with their children, perhaps when they, you get what I mean. Like my husband stayed at home. It allowed him to restore his adrenals, for example, and to be able to hang out with our son on our beautiful property. We live right on a lake. We have a nice stream. They could go in our little watering hole and swim after school, for example. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. It was not easy for most. But there were various silver linings in there. But the great gift was, people kept saying, oh, wake up, wake up. All these people are asleep. Well, 2020 was the wake up call.
Yes.
It either was going to wake people up or not.
Yep.
And the point is that that's still a judgment, because let's look at some things that we know to be true about energy. Every single human on this planet knew what they were signing up for before they got here.
Yep.
So we can say, oh, they were asleep, and it can feel that way, and it can feel frustrating. However, what if they are actually the most ascended people on the planet and they didn't need to be awake this time? Like,
Mhm.
nobody is making it on this planet if they are not a vibrational match for what's happening. It's just not happening. There are no, well, you get what I'm saying. There are very
Yes.
highly evolved species, I suppose, would just be the easiest way to say that on the planet now. So although someone might seem like they're not awake, what if they didn't come here for that to have that experience, because that was not the role they were
Exactly.
here to play? So instead of focusing on what other people are doing or not doing, we just because that just distracts us from the mission. Again, this is the thing we do. We go outside of ourselves when we're putting the monkey mind before the mission, right? If we just accept the mission, whether or not other people are listening. People say to me, well, Mother Malia, what are you going to do about the Mormons in Utah? I wasn't planning on doing a thing, but thank you for asking. Nobody wants someone coming and knocking on their door and trying to shove beliefs down their throat. But that is not my, if they find their way to me, I will happily serve them. But if they came in to have that experience and to have those beliefs and perceptions, other such things, that is not for me to decide.
I love that where you
Yeah,
said it's not for us to decide. It's for them to decide and for us to just to be okay with whatever they decide and to
yeah,
go, that's okay. That's okay. Because for me, I see so many different aspects of people, the lives they're living, the way they're living lives, and everyone has to do it their way, what works best for them, and to be respectful of how they want to do it this time, I think is the most loving way to do things, to see what they're doing and send it with love And maybe it's not what you would do, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment of right or wrong. I think that's something that is starting to do that waver of moving out of the right or wrong and going what's right just for us, what's or not right, what's best for us, and not doing the right or wrong, the black and white, and just letting things kind of move out. And for me, I thought 2020, I thought was amazing. I thought it was, I could feel the energy lifting, and I'm like, I was so excited to
Yeah.
move into that energy and to know we were coming into such extreme change. It
Yeah.
was so enlightening and so exciting. And I'm still excited because we're we're moving through that and going into the next levels. And it's just amazing to be here.
Absolutely. And going back to what we were talking about with everyone healing, similar to what we're talking about now, is that in the new earth, I mean, if we are really taking a stand for sovereignty,
Yes.
then already it starts with meeting sovereign to sovereign. All of our clients are sovereign. They do not need rescuing.
Yes.
They do not need fixing. They are not broken. They are not broken birds. We do not need to be martyrs over money. And because, this is a war on consciousness, And so our community, above all others, is going to be the most heavily infiltrated. And this is why they keep, if you're paying attention now, everyone, you'll see like I've been fired by a few payment processors because they don't want to support a business like mine. Email providers are saying we don't want to support a business like yours. They haven't said that to me yet, but they have said that to other people. And they are going to look at the various ways to slow our ability to spread light. And so, first of all, we already remember, well, we already our frequency, we have already won, just to use it in that simple terms. Okay. They are never able to replicate consciousness, which is why they have to invert it. So we have already won. We have to remember our power. We have to remember our potency. We have to remember our original codes, which is why I'm here. But one of the codes, as I mentioned, the sacred horse holds the codes of sovereignty. So it's not lost on me that they are rounding up 300 Mustangs today in Wyoming under the guise of overpopulation. No, they are capturing sovereignty. And they are going to keep doing that. So we really must take a stand for our sacred horse, our sacred cow, and our sacred bee. They are very, very important medicine for us in reclaiming our original coding, our sovereignty, etc. But back to the sovereignty. If we are going to fight for it, we're going to stand for it. How do we take the matrix out of our business? How do we take the matrix out of our healing paradigm? We have to see each other sovereign to sovereign, right? So if someone chooses to do whatever they choose to do in their body back a few years ago, I call it the fake bee sting, but I'm a little biased because I'm a steward for the bee. And this is one of the many ways that they hijack the bee. But I don't judge people for doing it because I understand all the reasons why people did it. But the other thing all of us want to understand, because of course there was great indignation over that, great indignation in the healer community. And what we want to remember is that the body has its own consciousness. It is the tour guide, but for the body, we do not have a human experience. And so when we decided that we want to come back to this planet, I'm going to just speak metaphorically. We said, hey, you over there, little dot of consciousness, I'm thinking about becoming human. And they said, I suppose I could go back then. Okay, fine. I will agree to shift out of this little pixie dust and become the form of a human body. And you will be able to come inside of me and we'll travel around. But you need to understand that as my own consciousness that is also coming back for a journey, that I'm going to want to have some experiences that don't necessarily make sense to you. And I'm going to need for you to allow that, and I'm going to need you to not judge that. Because here's the truth I know about 2021. If the body did not want that in its body, it absolutely would not have had it in the body. So there were many humans that were torn. And again, I'm speaking very high level. I understand there was manipulation. I understand there was a lot of programming, etc. But let's just look at it from strictly energy, strictly, you know, the highest perspective, the ascended perspective, that the human may not have, sometimes the human want to have that experience, but the human and the body will have had to have an agreement in order for the body to also accept that into its consciousness. There will be many humans that say, I don't want this, but the body, if it also didn't want it, it would have found a way. That's just how it was. And on top of that, even if the body needed to receive it for whatever reason, it perhaps needed to, I mean, some people developed major health crises because perhaps they needed to help other people with it, or they, you know, like that, we don't know. But the point is, the body will not, it just absolutely will not have had that experience if it didn't want to have it. So instead of judging people for getting it, as an example, or judging yourself, because I know many people will judge themselves as well. I just talk to so many people, you know.
Right.
We want to look at the higher perspective. Again, the body as its own consciousness is also sovereign.
Yes. That is something so important, I think, for people to realize. The body is also such, I look at ourselves, correct me if I'm wrong, but I look at myself as there's me, there's this soul, and there's this body who agreed to be with me on this journey.
Yeah.
And to have this communication with our body along with us to make it, to appreciate everything, and to talk with your body, I think is so important. Because I don't know what your opinion is, but for me, I kind of look at it as one and the same, but yet different. Yet two separate beings that are working together in harmony as we go forward.
Yes, I mean, how do we express the mission if we don't have the body? I mean, there's so much we can't do with the body, but we treat it as an afterthought. And here's the thing, you know, we have, just living in this world is traumatic. Then
Yeah.
there'll be a series of events that are thrown at us all through childhood up to adulthood that are traumatic. So now we come into, everyone, every single human came into 2020 with compound trauma. The
Yeah.
world shut down. And although there might have been, like you said, oh, I was so excited, etc., there's still trauma because perhaps relationships fractured, or
Yeah.
maybe your heart's breaking because you see humanity really fighting with each other. You know, there's various things. And so my point is that the more trauma is unresolved, the more we are out of the body. And that's particularly true for healers. Now, I'm about to say something else that the healers, I will say this with love, everyone, you need to hear this, but you might not be happy with me. You know, a lot of healers will get into what I call enlightenment Olympics. I'm more enlightened than you. I'm channeling 70. Oh, I'm channeling from 90. And, you know, I'm a master of energy, etc. No, I'm going to tell you all with love, you are not masters of energy. And here's why. You are masters at reading energy, at accessing energy, at twirling energy around your fingers. What you are not masters of yet is learning how to bring energy into the body and hold it and stay in your body while you are ascending. Because if you are able to hold energy, let me back up. Here is one of the myths that I call it, I joke and say the bee in my bonnet, you know. Here's one of the bees in my bonnet is the distortion. One of the distortions is that you have to work on receiving. No, that is false. You are always receiving. And if you are a master of energy, you know that.
Mm.
Energy is all around you. You are always receiving information. You are always transmitting information. You are
Right.
always receiving. You do not, and I can't stress this enough, because this is why people also struggle with the money, because they're focusing on the wrong thing. You do not have a receiving issue. You have a holding issue.
Oh,
When you learn to hold more energy, you'll be able to hold more money and vice versa. The second bee in my bonnet, and this is very, very important. People will say, oh, that's not aligned, or I have to align the chakras. No, you are always in alignment.
mm.
You are always in alignment. Your outer world is going to tell you, am I in alignment with what I actually want to be in alignment with? Same with receiving. You look at your outer world, you say, here is what is around me. Is this what I want to receive? Oh, I want more? Okay, then I simply decide I want more, and I take the inspired actions to allow more, right?
Right.
I'm always aligned. Now I get to look and say, my outer world is showing me what I'm aligning to. So if all I see is lack, I can do all the mantras I want in the mirror, but if I'm constantly surrounded by lack, that is what I'm aligning to. So I
Mm.
say, okay, again, in neutrality, I don't need to judge it. I just say, okay, do I want to keep aligning to this? Nope. Okay, what do I want to align to next? You see, this is very important for the money. You'll notice that there's a lot of interchange between mission, money, energy, etc. Because money, of course, is just an energy. And
Yes.
people will say to me, you're all about the money. Well, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. Thank you very much, because I'm here to make sure that the light leaders are fully fortified and fully resourced to live their mission. But also, I would like to say that I'm not the one that's all about the money. Everyone coming to me is all about the money. If money is keeping you up at night, you're all about the money. If you're
Yeah.
constantly worried about money, you're all about the money. So you can say, and I'm not saying any of you are saying this to me, but I'm talking in general for those of us that are
Yes.
helping people with money. We are not the ones all about the money. The people that are coming to us to shift the money issues are all about the money. And that's not even a bad thing. I don't mean that. But you can say, oh, I'm not about the money. But if you're constantly thinking I don't have it, in fact, you're all about the money. And that is okay. Let's just get you into right relationship with the money. So back to the energy piece. And again, people don't, most people get what I'm saying, but a few people get a little crunchy. It doesn't mean that you're not masters of aspects of energy, but if you want to truly have mastery over energy, the nuance now, at this stage in the ascension, at this stage in your evolution of already knowing how to work with energy, is to really master bringing it into the body, holding it, and being able to ascend while being very grounded.
Yeah.
Because if we are telepathic, if we can teleport, if we can bilocate, if we're telekinetic, doesn't it stand to reason then that we can actually be very anchored in the body and be in a completely different location right now at the same time, as example, right? So
Absolutely.
anyways, I will zip it for now because I know you have a lot to say, but yeah, so much to say, isn't there?
I think it's very important what you're saying, because there are so many people and I was there. I'm like I said myself. I always thought when I first started out with a lot of this is and I heard the programming from the Slytherins, let's just say, of, if you're doing this spiritual type work, you have to do it for free. You have to put yourself into uh poverty to do this, because this is, that divine work and you need to do it for free. And I fell into that at first, and I'm like, but wait a second, I need to live. I need to do my things. And if I can't do what I'm doing, I can't in turn take that abundance and that money, that monetary aspect, and say you're going to a nice restaurant and you're tipping better, or you're doing this, you're spreading that around, you're able to do that and just doing nicer things for yourself. If you don't have the money, you can't put the gas in the car to go to the places you need to go to. And when you realize, like, wait a second, there's something not quite fitting with this whole picture.
Yes,
So
and you're right. That is part of the programming because they really do like to infiltrate our space and tell us enough distortions that keep us, because they do know that we require money to spread the mission. Now, I will share, I have, I kind of study myself almost, my human self up until now. And I say, because in my first year of business, I generated 6 figures, and that was before social media existed. So that was me, going and teaching classes everywhere, networking. I was so uncomfortable. I was in a working class city, and here I am showing up saying, "Hi, I teach Reiki," and they're all like insurance brokers and realtors and such. They were lovely to me, by the way. But anyways, I was just so honored that I got to do the work because it's always been about the mission. And so I just couldn't believe people were like, I was thrilled. I was tickled, that people were paying me to do it. I was just pinching myself saying, oh my goodness, I get to do this for a living. And I didn't want it to disappear because I want to be able to keep doing it. And in all honesty, I'm really not wired for a job. I don't have the personality for a job. I question everything, if it doesn't make sense, I say, why are we doing this? I was not people, you get what I mean. I knew how to play the game, but it was painful. I actually did much better as a public servant than I did. I used to work as a forensic investigator, by the way, for many
oh,
years.
interesting.
And then I went into private sector for about 2 years to do investigations inside a corporation. And I did not like that environment. I did not like that environment, but I'm very grateful that I had that experience. The point is, though, I ended up going to the bank one day and depositing money, and I had 6 figures in the bank in my first 10 months of business. It might have been in there sooner. And that was me saying, mail me checks, etc. I probably have 100K out in the world somewhere floating of checks that I never claimed, truly, because I was so, well, I was not at all about money. That's the thing. So I wasn't tracking it, etc. You know, I had to
Right.
learn how to become a CEO, frankly. But my point is that I panicked. Holy cow, I had never had that much money because, again, I was a public servant. So I had just enough to get by, not quite enough to get by every month. That's part of why I became an entrepreneur, because I thought, how am I going to live this way for the rest of my life if I'm going to have to think about getting into a relationship that I don't even want to be in, for example, just because I need help paying the bills and to have a life beyond, you know, just paying bills kind of thing. And my point is that I had to learn how to get into relationship with money because it stressed me out to have that much money, because my first thought was hot potato. How quickly do I get rid of this? I just didn't feel comfortable holding it. So I knew it was a lesson for me. But my point is, 20 years in, I realized that that is my secret sauce. And here are two different energies I see right now in the Healy Feely space. We have people that are motivated by significance. Oh, I want to be published by Hay House. I want to be on Super Soul Sunday. I want to have X amount of followers on my YouTube channel, etc. But it's from a place of significance. And when people are chasing significance, they're getting into coaching containers, healing containers, etc., that can't meet their needs because they are going in there to satiate their need to feel like they matter, their need to feel significant. Now, I have always, and there's nothing wrong with that because some people need to have that experience. But what I'm saying is that that is a harder road to make money and hold money.
Interesting.
I have always focused on being contribution every day. For my whole 20 years in business, I wake up, I say, how many prayers can my business answer today? How many
Nice.
lives can I help today? And I just focus on contribution. Any offers I put out in the world, I have to filter it through, is this actually of high service? Is this going to serve people? I first have to say, is this going to light me up to do it? Because if it's not, then, you know, you get what I mean. People respond to the frequency. But, you know,
Absolutely.
provided that, of course, I've already vetted myself and said, is my heart in it? Can I offer this? Do I feel excited about offering this? Then I put it out there. But I have built a very lucrative business focused on contribution. And that is sustainable because that includes the mission already. Your
Yes.
mission doesn't need significance. Your mission just as let's assume it's its own person, wants to contribute. And
Yeah.
so it does require money. And that's why it's just so important for us to heal that relationship because, like you said, and not to mention, the money isn't even about us. People don't get the same. It doesn't mean people cannot have transformation from free things, of course. But I know even for myself, if I don't pay enough for something, I just don't show up the same way because then it's optional. I call it
Yeah.
the gulp factor, where I need to have a bit of a gulp, you know, at an investment because then I know I'm going to put the mission before the monkey mind because I can't afford not to.
That is so true because I've had this experience where I was, doing things for free, and the people, it wasn't I'm gonna say and not that in the don't take it this wrong way, but it didn't feel like it was appreciated or it made as big of an impact by them
Yeah.
because it was free. They didn't have any investment in it. And that's something I think that people need to realize. That's something I realize, like, oh, if you're doing it for free, it's like, ah, whatever, it can't be worth that much. So it really doesn't mean as much. And it just gave it this connotation that it wasn't worth as much or it wasn't as impactful because it was free versus having to pay for it.
Yes. And back to the sovereign piece, you know, if we truly believe that we're operating sovereign to sovereign, then because you see, people triangulate onto money, as I mentioned, because money becomes the easy scapegoat for why I'm not living my mission. Now, I could give
Right?
everyone $1 million today, And then they will say, oh, okay, well, now the reason I can't live my mission is because of my body. I'm not healthy enough, or I want to lose
Mhm.
X amount of pounds. I hear this all the time. This is why I say it. So then I say, okay, well, I've given you $1 million. Now I'm giving you the most optimized body. And then they say, oh, okay, well, I have to wait until my children graduate. When's that? 12 years from now. Okay. So now it's about your children. Oh, Mercury retrograde's coming. Oh, now, okay, now you can't do it, and there will always be something, because you see, it's like playing the whack-a-mole game. We just keep
Yeah.
smucking down each different excuse, because it's not about any of those things. That is externalizing, that is triangulating, and that is toxic. We do not like triangles.
Absolutely. And I think you're very I love that you're bringing that up because it's so important for people to hear that part of it because otherwise a lot of things are just dismissed like, oh no, no, I would do that. It's like, I don't think you would.
Yes, and it's socially acceptable. This is also how we bow out of intimacy.
Mm,
So, for
yes.
example, if you invite me to dinner, and I like you, but I just, in my head, I think, oh, I just don't have the energy to be around anyone. I just need to be in my own energy. I just need to be in my own space tonight. We all have those times.
Right.
But what do I say to you? Oh, Angela, I'd love to, but I don't have the funds right now. It instantly silences you, doesn't it?
Yes.
Because then we are also taught socially that not to challenge that. We're meant to sympathize with that. But people will often say that they don't have money because they're avoiding intimacy, either with themselves or with other people. Because if I actually said to you the truth, you know what, Angela, I love you. And any other night, I'd probably say yes, but tonight I'm just exhausted. And I hope you don't take that the wrong way, et cetera, et cetera. I just need to stay in. Most people can't say that. And by the way, there's no need to say that. We can just say, oh, thank you for thinking of me. I'm not able to make it, which is not a
Yes.
lie. We're not able to make it. But we feel the need to concoct these stories because we've been told we need to be a manager. I need to manage optics. I need to manage other people's opinions of me. I need to manage energy. I need to manage all of the things. And we want to now move into being the CEO of our life and business, which is basically being sovereign, right? I don't manage anything anymore. I can't. I'm not resonant with it. And I definitely cannot manage money objections, by the way. I literally have no vibrational resonance for that. And I'm not saying people can't have them, but what I'm saying is because I know it's not about the money, I know what's really going on.
Yeah, right. Because
You
it's really
know?
actually about them
Well,
not
it's the
wanting to
problem
step in.
paradigm.
Yes.
They're bringing a problem to me that's not even a problem. And so yes, people tell me problems, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but I don't meet them in that. And I also will say to my clients, okay, well, what's right with you? I'm really trying to retrain them to say, okay, what's right with me? What's going well, etc. Because that's actually what they prefer. It's just that so much of the spell casting. Well, let's look at the words. I'll get you to watch my mouth when this happens. So these are 3 words that are almost impossible to say. My human has to force them out of Malia's mouth because Malia controls the mouth. Could, would, and should. You see that? How much
Mm,
stress that was coming out of my mouth.
yes.
That is spell casting, because what do we do with a tree when we cut it down? It becomes wood. It is dead energy. The words are can, wish, or will, and shall. So when you hear me speaking, you are constantly hearing me speaking, I will love to do that, because we are using our will the way it is designed.
Nice.
You see? So would is canceling out my will. Should is canceling out my shall. And could is canceling out my can, my capability, my possibility.
Mm,
So these are just 3 examples. That's only the English language.
yeah.
I happen to know very clearly because I speak with many of my clients that speak Spanish, because I'm very aware that our Spanish-speaking population around the world, people say Latin Americas. No, I don't want to use the term America because that's not they are original peoples.
Right.
And in their language, if we look at how oppressed certain countries are right now, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Venezuela, Colombia, a few others, they all speak Spanish. Well,
Right.
what are the languages that they're speaking? They're constantly spellcasting themselves into poverty, into control, etc. Look at our brothers and sisters, I will just say for ease, in China, for example.
Mm.
Massive, massive control there. Yes, of course, we can say spiritually, okay, they came here to have this experience, da da da. But clearly, there will be language. Just the way that the harmonics are written on paper will be spellcasting. It will create a frequency, and then the harmonics of how it is spoken will constantly spellcast people into, let's say, depression or poverty, control, etc. And we look at the populations where there's a little more honey badger going on. I just say that playfully, like in the US.
Yes.
Yes, of course, there's poverty, but you see there's a more of a fight or a conviction. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to beat the odds. Well, what is in the language, right? What is the
Hmm.
typical typical statements we make when we are in conversation, for example. And then, so the point is that we want to really take a look at that and be mindful of the words that we are sharing, because we are already up against so much programming, so much invisible things that we can't even see. And so we have to say, okay, well, where can I be more sovereign in how I'm participating in this journey? And when we can leave the problem paradigm and go to the possibility paradigm, living in the penthouse, I would just say for ease, it's actually a lot easier to see what is going well, even in the world. I'm aware of what's going on in the world, of course. Of course I am. But I'm also aware of all of the beauty. That's what we came here to appreciate, the beauty, the joy, the connection, all of the medicine from our lovely trees and our flowers and our bees and our, puppies and our kittens and all of the things.
And that's something I think people forget about is there's so much good going on, and to look for the beautiful things, the amazing things that are happening all around the world, the kindness. That's one of the things I started changing just recently is every day I ask, show me the kindness in the world. I want to see the kindness in the world. And I have seen so many examples of kindness, and it's just like it's everywhere if you look for it, and it's just amazing. And I've got to say the spell casting with the words, that's something I've really tried working on, paying attention to what I'm saying and how I'm saying it, because I'm realizing there's so many things I've been saying that I didn't realize were actually very on a negative connotation or a very repressing connotation for myself. And after hearing it, I'm like, wait a second, what did I just say? What did I just say? And it is there's programming. Most movies are the heroine and the has to help someone who is repressed and can't do it themselves. And there's all of this out there. And it's like, wait a second, I can do this myself, and I'm not a victim either.
Yes, and I love that you shared that, because yes, it is an interesting dance in it, isn't it? Because we are sovereign, we want to remember our capabilities, but we also came here to be in communion. And the reason why 2020, frankly, was so traumatic for everyone on some level, even though there were, of course, positive things, is because we actually need to be in close proximity with each other. There's an actual biofeedback, I will just say for ease, of frequency that
Yeah.
happens when we are skin to skin or within a certain range of each other. And so to be that separated from the masses, that is what felt strange. And now we see they already knew that they were doing, because how many people, I can say for myself, I'm less inclined to go outside now too,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
so we see the effects of that. They had to, they knew how much time we needed to be separated from each other's skin. I will just say that for ease.
Mhm.
They
Yes.
knew how much time it would take for us to get to this place where we think we are choosing to stay inside, that this is a great idea, that yes, let's bring the mall now into the home. Now the new storefront is in our home. And
Yes.
then we stay further separated from each other, and we live in our own little bubble and our own little virtual reality.
Hmm.
Very easy to be canceled, by the way, because now if you speak up, then if you lose all your socials, then you're canceled. And people are so living in the virtual world that if you're not connecting with people in real life, they're not going to realize that you're still around. You can literally be have your existence wiped, similar to Mother Malia, I suppose.
Very true. That's very true. And so many people are living more and more in this virtual world. And it's almost like that the human touch has been replaced for the touch of the like or the heart on the social media aspects. And it's like,
Yes.
wait, you need to have something more. And it's moving beyond that. And that's something I think is so, it was hard for me to watch that part of it, the disconnect, the distance, and everybody being told that you have to stay away because it's not good to be together. That was the hardest part for me because it's like, oh, all that personal touch, that personal communication, that hug you would normally give someone, now you can't give it to them. And it's like, that makes a big difference. Everybody starts moving off further and further very quickly after that.
Yes, and because we are all aware of the agenda, we want to remember that the AI agenda is actually really our agenda, meaning our agenda is ascension intelligence. So they have to invert it through artificial intelligence, you see. And so, but it's the similar thing of like whatever, because we always have equilibrium on this planet, we can say, oh, there's so much darkness. No, we understand. Look at how many more people are holding light. It is never going to be out of balance, even when they are trying to. But what I will also like to say about the bee, so just for, because I don't know if we really went into that. So Mother Malia, according to history, but we know history is distorted, but, history books will say, and that's only been brought to my attention because I didn't even research Mother Malia because I know her, right? So I already know who
Right.
she is. But and she came into my body during one of my retreats, and I didn't realize my clients thought she was going to go away. No, she's been here forever, and she will stay because I am now her. I lived many years as my human, and my human had to develop a reputation and a solid business so that when Malia came in, because I asked her, I would be taken seriously, because otherwise people might think I'm mentally ill. And I do
Hmm.
believe a lot of people, by the way, in institutions are similar to me, and they were not supported by family, and that now they're just heavily medicated, and they are, I will say, for ease in a zombie state in the institution. So my presence alone is already going to help unravel the mental health. That is also something people project onto me. They are afraid, everyone is, I shouldn't say everyone, but many people are afraid of losing their mental health when they channel, because there is a fine line.
Mhm.
And so they see that in me because they're afraid of that happening to them. They're afraid of being a charlatan, so they see that in me. It's very rare, but you get what I mean. There'll be a percentage. Point
And
is, my clients thought I was going to leave. I knew she was going to stay, but when she came in the middle of the night, in the middle of the retreat, I said, okay, well, why are you here now? And she said, well, because I needed you to integrate with the humans, et cetera, et cetera. But I said, well, why now though? Why didn't you come in this way 5 years ago or 2020 or whatever? She said, because there's impending doom on the planet. And 6 days later, the bombing started in Israel.
mm,
Yeah.
yes.
And so this year, yesterday was my 9-month birthday. I was marking it every month up into the 6-month mark, and I said the humans are going to start get annoying with me if every month I'm celebrating my birthday. So my birthday will be October 1st, 2024. That will be my 12-month birthday, my 1-year birthday, however we're saying it. And I
Hope it
incidentally,
froze. I don't know if it's,
oh, can you hear me okay? Yeah.
I can
So
hear you now. Yes.
okay, so I will be leading a retreat before then, but I'll actually be in Portugal at that time, and that's what I find interesting. Why I was guided to go to Portugal, and I will only know, of course, once I'm there, because there'll obviously be a significant reason that I need to be there. But I have been guided to go back to Greece because Greece claims to be the ancient steward of the bee, but we know there is a lot of distortion of the bee. There's a lot of distortion in Greece. The Greek people, by the way, very wonderful people. Lots of Slytherin activity there because look at what are they living on? They live on, their economy is sustained by olive trees and tourism. That's
Mm,
it. But they
yes.
do have a lot of bee apiaries there. They have a lot of things going on. And the whole point is that B is the highest consciousness on the planet. It is creation. And we will look at your cell phones, it is mechanical bee. That's why I laugh. I say, if that's the best they can do to replicate the bee and the white noise that you sleep with, if that's the best they can do to replicate the hum of the bee, which is the hum of creation, then we've already won, is my point. They look at the colony, the bee colony. What did
Yes.
they do? It was hijacked by the queen, who wants to wear my crown, the bee
Mhm.
skull, on her head as a crown. Why? Because the creation codes are inside the bee's brain. That's why they hijack the crown.
Interesting.
That's why they hijack and wear the bee jewelry and other such things. That's why she colonized, because she is trying to invert the bee. That's why they create the drone. The drone is very essential to the hive. The drone impregnates the queen bee to create more worker bees, to create more medicine for the people, and then flies outside of the hive to see if everything is okay. But what do? They distort the bee and they turn the drone into a spying machine on the
And
people. I could give you a litany of examples of all of the distortion of the bees, including the fake bee sting, which most of us, I will say probably 99% of the population, because of course I had bee stings as well when I was a baby, other such things.
right.
So I'm not, I'm not immune to that either. But why such a concerted attempt to hijack the bee every which way? And because they steward the bee there, and I have been to Greece before, they really revere it. It is the shape of the goddess, all of the things. But there's obviously a reason I'm meant to go there, is my point. And part of it is that I am being fortified there for phase 2 of my integration, because it's a 3-phase integration. But you can bet your bottom dollar that when I get fortified in Greece, guess where I'm going next? To go take care of the Slytherins in the Venice. Yes,
Interesting.
yes.
So you are going to be very busy as a busy
I'm going,
bee.
I'm going to be a busy bee, flying all around, of course. And the retreat, it pretty much sold out very quickly. There's a few spots left still, but probably by the time people listen to this, it will be sold out. But I'm not sharing it for that reason. But there is a reason, this is the mission. The mission called me there. I was not planning on going back to Greece. I've already been to Greece. And
Right.
I have a policy that I have too much to see. I can't, I only have so much time. I don't want to keep, but it's calling me back so much. I say, oh goodness, I have to go. And so of course there are wonderful things there, but even as we know, all across the land, many of the sacred sites are not our sacred sites. They're the sacred sites. They're the sacrifice sites, actually. This is why many people will feel weird when they go to certain sacred sites. They say, that's weird. I was expecting to feel all this wonderful energy. Why am I feeling all this other energy? Because it's not a sacred site to the benevolent ones. It's a sacred site to those that are sacrificing in the satanic religion. I would just call it that for ease, but the blood cult, I call it, or the Slytherins. And so there's a lot to do. But back to the bee, when we can all, part of the restoration of the original coding, back to your question a while back, is we must restore the bee. We simply must reclaim the bee. And we must hold her in high regard, because she is very essential to our survival. Without the bee, we do not have this planet. We just don't. You can live on 1 tablespoon of honey a day and get all the nutrients you need if it got to that point,
Hmm. Interesting.
because it is an original food.
That you mentioned something earlier about the bee, the horse, and the cow. Is that correct?
Yes, yes,
And I was just, it made me think, is that why there's such a drive from the Slytherin side, basically, where we're having issues with bees and they're taking out the horses and the cows. And I'm like,
yes,
oh, there's much more at play here that I didn't realize. So
yes,
I appreciate you bringing that up, because it really opened my consciousness, my mind to think bigger still.
yes. The animal medicine. So here's my policy. We want to look at what animals are, or I will just say creatures for ease, because obviously a bee is not an animal, but which ones are being heavily targeted for extinction
Mhm.
because they hold very significant medicine. The second thing I say is, what is the medicine? Who are the animals and the creatures that you've been taught to be have great fear of? The bees. People will happily kill a bee.
Yeah.
So we've been taught and programmed to reject the medicine. People use horses as utilitarian and to make money. They gamble with them, blah, blah, blah. The cows, we know what happens with the cows. The cow in Hindu religion is very, and Hindu religion, by the way, of course, is also distorted, but they highly revere the cow. There's a reason
Right.
for that. But then we look at the wolf. The wolf is the grand protector. The wolf, look at how they replicate the wolf with the fake sirens. That's the best they can do to replicate the grand protector. That's the
Right.
best they can do. This is why I'm saying we have already won. Because if we really understand they have not been able to replicate bee consciousness, the best they can do is white noise and mechanical bee ringtone on your phone. That is the best they can do to replicate the hum of creation.
You know,
Right?
that's something. And there was one question I was going to ask: what do you feel about humanity going forward? And I think part of it you've already answered with,
Yes.
I felt I felt the same way. We have already won. We're
Yeah.
just we're just doing the fine tuning. We're taking care of the
Yes.
rest. We're kind of cleaning up the mess, I should say.
Yes.
And I feel we're on that. We're already there. There's no going back to where we were. That's gone.
Oh
We're
no.
not going back there ever again. We're going forward. And I feel we've already done a lot of it. It's the cleanup crew now, kind of.
Yes,
What's your
exactly.
thoughts?
Absolutely. And I will share, my human, just to be very clear, my human would have told you a few years ago, oh, this is how it is. We're just going to have to live in this world the way it is, you know, because I
Yeah,
understand how the matrix work. I really do. And part of that's my forensic brain. I really try to understand, who I always look for the main perpetrator. So I very quickly tuned into who's the main perpetrator.
right.
Now, the point is that yes, you're absolutely right. And so our job right now is to ensure that the Slytherins uphold their agreement because they are pushing it, because they are bratty little 2-year-olds that are going
Yeah.
to constantly push the boundaries.
Yes.
And they are doing that with some of their Slytherin agenda, because why do they need to operate in hiding in Slythery? There's very Slythery.
Mm,
Why do they need to do so much in the darkness? Why do they need to do all these things if they are as strong as they want us to believe they are? There's the only
right.
reason you sneak around like that is because you believe you're weak. And
Yes.
we already know how they invert the human bodies and other such things. That is the best they can do with creation. They do not know how to, I cannot stress this enough. They do not know how to replicate creation. They only know how to invert it. And so, isn't that wonderful that all we have to do is keep raising our frequency and keep aiming towards creating pristine conditions to be the clearest channel possible for benevolent consciousness?
Yes. And I do have to say, I wish you a happy birthday every month because I
Oh,
think it's
thank
awesome.
you. Yes, I know. It's a lot of fun. My human, I will say, because people are always very curious, yes, I had to grieve my human in the beginning. I didn't know how long it would go on for because I've had walk-in experiences before, and maybe they will last 4 to 6 weeks. Malia has been dropping in, by the way, about every 10 years for the last 30 years. And which is hard to believe because I'm only 30. Just kidding. Yeah. But this time around, I knew it was different, but I was still kind of waiting. Okay, maybe I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it'll kind of be back to normal, so to speak. And so she's a lot of fun to be around. My human can say that. How would you not want to be around someone that's happy all the time, joyful, etc. No judgment, everything's an adventure, everything's wondrous. But there were times where I thought, oh, can I just have a button to press and just have an hour off a day to just go back to being my really human self, you know? Not because I regret having this, but I had to basically grieve the loss of Jennifer, and I had to have a ceremony for her, basically, because you know, some of my clients, they're not mad at me, but they've had to distance themselves, and they've just told me in writing, I love you very much. It's just very hard for me right now because I love Jennifer so much. It's very hard for me to know that she's never coming back. So they really like Malia, and it's too confronting for them right now. And I appreciate their honesty around that, you know, and I get it because I had to grieve her too. The issue is that I didn't have a choice because literally the train just keeps moving. I had to just go along for the ride, you know. And then with my husband, people say, "Oh, what happened to your marriage?" I say, "Oh goodness, well, you know, I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure when I was in Sedona what was going to happen. Uh, I could feel him rise to the occasion, and I said, "Oh, now I understand why we were brought together." And he has some mental health issues in his parents' side of the family, both parents' side of the family. So had I not had this happen in front of 15 other people, he might have thought that perhaps oh, here I go, I married one of my parents kind of thing. You know how we can do that, of course, as humans, right? But because I had an award-winning psychologist as one of the participants of the retreat who knows very clearly, she said, no, she's very lucid, you know, da, da, da. And plus, you know, people have known me for years. It's not like I haven't been channeling. It's not like I hadn't been channeling Maya. It's that, you know, it's just different. So anyways, but the first month, I didn't want to come home just because I wanted to stay in the cocoon, frankly. I just wanted to stay in my own energy, get used to it, but I had obligations, so I came back, and then I was trying to be human to make it easier for him, but I can't. This is me in my most human ability to talk. Most of the time, if you were talking to me, I call it going full Malia. I will literally shapeshift into a bee. My voice changes, you know, etc. And that happened actually on our trip to Aruba. I just went full Malia on some of the resort staff and stuff. I didn't mean to, but I can't control it, you know. And but anyways, I don't have, of course, the same human desires. If I was single right now and I met him, I would not date him. Not because I don't think he's wonderful. Let's just assume different situations because I have no interest in that. I don't, but yet we have found a way to make it work. But I also have, you know, in the beginning I said, well, maybe he didn't sign up for this, you know. Like I literally, all my preferences have changed, my voice has changed, my mannerisms have changed, you know. And so if he is not happy, I love him. I just want him to be happy. If it's not going to be with me, I understand. It might also be at some point that the mission just takes me away from him. I don't know. I don't really imagine that happening because he is my grand protector. He holds a lot of wolf energy.
Right.
And my point, all of this to say that even though, because we were on very different pages, by the way, in 2020 and beyond, like very different. And it was a little crunchy at times, you know. But because I knew that they were trying to separate families, I said, I'm not going to let them win. So we worked through it, you know, and we were able to allow each other to hold very different perspectives on the world events. And so then here I come along. I have the audacity now to throw this new twist in the thing again, you know. But we've only gotten stronger. We already were very tight. He's my person. He's my best friend. And also I will say, not that it is his job per se, but I do need a tether, you know. I need a human tether to kind of help me travel. You know, when I go to Greece, I have someone coming and traveling with me because I don't need to be held by TSA because I really don't move through the world in a normal way, you know. I'm smiling all the time. I hold up the line because I'm always just admiring everything or in the present moment, you know. I don't live in the future very much anymore. My brain doesn't work the same because I can't be in the future. I don't have a right brain, left brain. I have the original brain. So yeah, so my brain does not sequence information the same way, even though I have access to it back here, I suppose I will say, you know, at the back of my brain,
Yes.
I remember how it used to work. I have all my memories. I have my logic and other such things back here, strategy, but I can't bring it forward into the front brain, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that because I think that's something very important for people to realize. as they themselves are changing and you're changing your vibration, things are going to change, your relationships are going to change. And I'm going to be honest, I went through a lot of similarities with my own relationship with my husband. It was like, when everything really started moving, I was like, man, he didn't sign up for this. And I gave him, I sat down one day and I gave him an out and I said, I know you didn't sign up for this. This is what I need to do. I hope you'll be here for me. But if you don't, I understand. And I said, this is your out, you can walk away or you can stay. But I needed to step into who I was at that moment. And I couldn't pretend I was someone who I wasn't anymore. I needed to really step into who I was. It was a hard decision, a very hard decision to do that. So I think that's for people to realize some of these maybe hard decisions coming forward, what you want to do. And it doesn't mean you have to lose a relationship. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but the relationships are going to change.
Yes, and that's part of why people will keep it at bay. I'm glad that you shared that. And yes, so of course I love him. I just want him to be happy. It doesn't mean that my human heart won't be a little bit tender, of course, if I have to say goodbye to him. But like I said, it wasn't, of course, anything to do with him or my life back at home. I just really wanted to be on my own for about 6 weeks. And I chose, I'm not a victim of it. I chose to honor some obligations I already had. But
Mhm.
within the first month, my whole team imploded. They all left me because I'm like a full moon. You see, if people are not regulated and they can't calibrate, it literally will be like I'm acting like a full moon in their body, so to speak. I
Mm.
just use that as metaphor. And of course, I had some people leave my world, which is okay. I have had way more people come into my world because the light leaders recognize my energy as familiar. And that's what I
Yeah,
say. Yes, you
right.
haven't heard of me, but I want you to now use your critical thinking muscles and say, well, why haven't I heard of her? Because everyone will say, I recognize your frequency. I'll say yes. Uh, but I don't come here often, so that's why, but I only come because we really are in a pivotal time, as I shared, and we have to restore the original coding. And so part of why I am so grateful, for example, to be joining you today is because the more I speak, just the harmonics even is
Yeah.
going to awaken the original memories. A lot of why we feel so, I will just say for ease, assaulted by what's happening on the world stage is it's bumping up against our original coding, right?
Yes.
And I'm not talking just truth. I'm talking when we first came to this planet, our original design in the purity of how we were designed without any interference. When we very first came and had human form on this planet, there were original codes that have now been distorted. We knew how to absorb medicine without ever needing to eat it.
Mm.
We knew how to make use of the salt water. We knew how to make use of the moss. We knew how to sustain the body and collaborate and celebrate and spread light and have fun. This is why we came. We came here to have fun. We came here to create. And that's, by the way, again, to money. Money is creation. Money helps us create. It helps us to create more experiences. And creating money as an experience is an experience. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so money just allows us to have more and more experience. And so, but yes, in our original form, this is what we're returning to. This is the new earth. I am the representation of what we look like in original form when we are operating in neutrality and above, because everyone plays the role. Everyone comes here with their own unique harmonic. Everyone's harmonic is a contribution to the whole. Nobody is taking from each other. We're not taking what we don't need from the land. We're not taking what we don't need from the animal kingdom, etc., etc. But most of it is about, holy cow, this is an interesting costume to be wearing right now, and let's see what else we can do with it. It's all about having fun and spreading harmonics and so on. And so I get that that can sound very airy-fairy and very like Pollyanna to some people. But we know as I speak this, I know you all feel this in your original coding.
Yes. And the Pollyanna aspect, I've gotten accused of it myself. Like,
Yeah.
do you ever get bad? Do you ever, it's like, do things bother me at times? Absolutely. Sometimes things bother me, but I really work at, and I'm also working at changing the name, the word work. What is another word for work we could use that would be more enlightening?
Yes.
That's something to think about is to look at things in a different way, to change my perspective as quickly as I can, to realize I can look at it differently. I think that's something for all of us to do. And I've just got to say, I appreciate you so much for you sharing really from the heart a lot of the aspects of your journey and how, and there's so much more to your journey that I know. There's so much more to your journey. We could be here till 1 in the morning.
Yes.
But I think to help people realize our journeys as you go along, they're not going to stay exactly the same, and to be open to the change. And they're just bringing me up an idea right now. So I'm just going to say a lot of times when you look at beehives, when the queen has done all she can for the beehive, that queen leaves, another queen comes in. And this is kind of as our evolution, sometimes a different side of ourselves, a different queen bee comes in to take us to the next level. And that's a lot of what we're doing. So as you do that, those drones, the people you may have been working with, may switch out because you're a new queen and a new hive and you're starting all over again.
Yes, and the hive builds up very quickly,
Yes.
and it's all about collaboration in the hive. Yes, I love that you shared that because some people don't perhaps like the word shapeshifter. I say this in very metaphoric terms. We are constantly shapeshifting throughout our life,
Yes.
you know, and we are always just one. Timelines are just a fancy way of saying choice points. They're just a buzzword for choice points. We are literally one choice away from a different financial reality. We are one choice away from a different business reality, a different body reality, a different reality of our mission, etc. Meaning we're always on mission, but you know what I mean. We will have our toes and our fingers and such and all kinds of other timelines. We need
Yes.
to evaporate all of those and just bring all of our energy now onto the timeline that we are already living and thriving in the mission. There's no
I,
need to be in all the other ones. That's part of why our energy will feel a little bit distilled, why it'll be harder to hold the energy. But yes, I suppose it's easier for me to talk about ascension in the sense that I forget, and I'm glad you share this because I've been at this for a very long time, even in my human self, and so I'm just used to being in favor with people one day and all of a sudden not, and or hanging around saying, oh, I really don't want to leave this situation or this person, but have outgrown them, and how do I make it work because I really like them, all the various things, uh, but um, but I will say now, at least for me, I can just say this is an urgent mission I'm on. That's why I'm here now. So I can't spread it fast enough. That's the thing. If I were to have a problem, and I'm saying that loosely, it's that I cannot spread this mission fast enough.
I love that part of it. And I'm I'm just going to ask, just as recently, and I've always felt it for a long time, of I wanted to make a difference, wanted to make a difference in the world. And I think a lot of people want to make a difference, want to make the world something more than what it's been before.
Yeah.
But recently it's more about I just want I don't want to have to like personally maybe make the change in everybody. It's more of the change in me and letting that energy go to other people. Like that's possible for them. That's
Yeah.
the possibility. Is that more of what you and especially Mother Malia has been doing is spreading the possibility of what's possible, the highest possible aspect out there?
Yes. Yes, there's enough people that will hijack your attention, telling you about all the problems and how to fix it. And here's what's wrong with the world, even in our consciousness community. I don't need to contribute to that conversation. That's not the conversation I need to contribute to. A few years ago, I created a webinar just to get it out of the system, because I was just really trying to help the humans understand
Mm.
the meta level workings, the forensic, through my forensic brain. Here are the meta level workings of the matrix. Once you understand their meta level formula, you can apply it to everything. That will help you really see, is what I'm being shown distortion? Is this true? Is this person a deceiver? Are they, like in our world, for example, we have some intentional infiltrators as an
Yes.
example. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
it's a lot easier to vet it and say, okay, well, if the controllers control who has a voice on the world stage and someone has 1 million followers and they are in the consciousness space, perhaps I need to be asking some questions.
Right.
Doesn't mean that they are, but perhaps I need to start saying, okay, how come I've been in business for 20 years and I have 600 views on my YouTube, and this person literally came out of obscurity and they already have 2 million followers? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so there's certain, I suppose, I will just say for ease, logic that we can apply to some of this. So anyways, a few years ago, I created a webinar called How to Decode the Matrix so that you can outcreate it. And in there, I kind of talk about that. And then I show some of the deceivers in our space. And I'm not going to announce it here because I don't want to bring attention to your show in that way. But I'm
Right.
happy. I've been very clear. I'm happy. Nobody has taken me up on it, the deceivers. And if you're listening, I'm happy to have a public conversation with you. And you can answer some of my questions about, various things. But yes, I don't shy away from that. And also that's my forensic training. I've been on the stand for thousands of hours. I have no problem being cross-examined. I have no problem presenting my case. I have no problem addressing conflict when I need to,
I love
I
it.
I don't like to, but I will do it. And so none of these deceivers have taken me up on my invitation to have an open public conversation about how they have purposely infiltrated the consciousness space. That being said, what were we talking about before? Because now I went a little tangential, but it was something to do with, oh, yes, but I got it out of my system. I don't need to keep talking about that. Like at some point, I've given you the information. You can study the webinar if you would like, but
Yes.
now it's over here to talk about, they don't need it because you see, in 2020, they had our attention. They don't
Yes.
care how they get our attention. They can get our
Right.
attention because we're afraid of dying of a disease, or they can get our attention because we're lying to you about the disease that we're telling you you're going to get. But either
Right.
way, they had all of our attention. They captured, just like they're capturing horses right now, they captured our
Yes.
attention. Our attention is our most precious resource. We must be impeccable stewards of our attention because it is a resource, it is a frequency. And so it is actually impossible for me to read the news and other such things. There's literally no resonance. It's completely dissonant in my field. So that's why I say I don't know what's happening in the world, but if people have things to tell me, they will tell me. But the point is that we are very aware of what's not working in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And because most people aren't willing to live in their mission, as soon as you choose your mission is going to tell you how you are the contribution, either to that or contributing to architecting the new earth. I am here to help ensure that the mission keepers of the new earth, I call it the new earth order,
I like that.
just to counter, you see what I'm doing with the
Yes, just the
language.
counter.
That's not really what it's called, but that's just to be playful. I am here
I
to
love
help
it.
the mission keepers of the New Earth Order be fully financially fortified. And let's link arms together and focus on what we're building over here. Because you see what happens. How do they control me? They control me through my attention. So if I've withdrawn my attention off the world stage and you have, and now maybe 10 million of us have,
Yes.
we're a lot harder to control when they don't have our attention, because they aren't even able to do a lot of the things they're telling us they're going to do. But as long as we believe that they
Yes.
have the power, that's all that they need to control us.
That is so true. It's what do you believe? What are you putting your attention on? What is your perspective on things? That is everything. If you can change your perspective, if everything's drawing your attention here, change your perspective to something else, to yourself, to having fun, to having joy, to having that for other people in the world, because we can. We all can. We can all have that. And the more of us that focus on that and find and look for the good that's happening in the world, because there is so much out there, but the focus is put on a small little minute aspect, and that's what we all focus on. And if we just change that, we change the world, and we already are, and we're
Yes,
doing it more and more
our
every day.
presence, just our harmonic
Yes,
imprint, I will call it, is the mission, is the change.
absolutely.
We're already doing enough, if you get what I mean. And
Yes,
all our job is to keep amplifying the light within us, to amplify the light grids that are being formed around the planet, so
yes.
that we contain this, and we almost build a dome of light around this. It just keeps elevating, elevating, and all of a sudden our frequency is the more dominant frequency. And not everyone's going to come, and that's okay. Doesn't matter.
Right.
We don't need everyone. We are, Malia told me today, we are 40% mass consciousness. We need 11 more percent. And we can do that within this existing 40% that is already illuminated. We don't need 11% more people waking up, if you get what I mean, and to use the human terms. We just need to increase the light quotient, the amount of light we can hold, back to my point before.
Mm.
And that's how we tip mass consciousness. We're almost there. And then after that, we just keep going up and up and up, you see.
That is really cool. I haven't heard that before. It's really interesting to hear. And it's like, oh, so the people that are already beaming their light and more are beaming their light every single day.
Yeah.
Just with the people that's already here can have this happen. And then the extra people, I just feel like it's just building and building, and it's like a snowball going down a hill. It's just growing and growing, and there's nothing that can stop that. So I think that is
Yeah.
so cool. I like that.
Yes, and again, it to some it can sound a little bit Pollyanna, but in your original coding, you will know it to be true.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is so cool. And I wanted to talk more about your book and everything else, but I think your book
Oh,
has a lot of things
yeah.
in here.
Well, yes, the book is kind of one of those books. It's almost like a big oracle deck. There's 365 messages in there. So
Nice.
yes, you can read it in order, but I designed it because I like being able to open a book and just say, please show me the page I most need to read from
Love that.
today. And then it just opens. I go, oh yeah, I needed that today. So these are all little love notes from me. Some of them are very little, but it's meant to pack a punch, so to speak. And then you can journal on them. What does it bring up? Or just live in that energy for the day, depending on how you want to interpret it. It's up to you to how to interpret it. But there's just another little way to love you up with some truths that help you return more and more. Because you see, everyone listening here, obviously you're already evolved. It's not about are you waking up? It's about the fact that you're already awake and you're already running a lot of energy. Now we're just literally tweaking a few little things, you
I love
know?
how you said that because I've been there's a lot of people are like, oh, we're doing all these big stuff. And I'm like, I think we've already done the big stuff. We're doing the fine tuning now on the dial.
Yeah.
It's like we have the radio on. We're finding the right station is what we're doing right now. We're tweaking it in and getting it sounding crisp and clear.
Yeah. Well, we are going to need to heal some trauma for sure, collective individual trauma. Because
Yes.
here's the thing, it's a little complicated. Yes, most of the planet, the reason why the planet is poopy is because of the Slytherins. It's actually not because of the humans. But if, let's just say for hypothetical ease right now, we will say the humans have, put us in this position. And again, I'm saying that very loosely because that's actually not why this is happening.
Yes.
But if we want to have clean water, if we want animals to be stewarded with great love, if we want the bees to be restored, the pollinators to be restored, the plants to stop being GMO, all the things, uh, trying to clean the water does not make sense because the humans will just go back and pollute the water. We must help the humans ascend so that they get in touch with their emotions, they release the trauma, and they're not responding from trauma, fight,
Yeah.
flight, freeze, and seize. We must unhook people from the trauma responses so that they are free to be in the sovereignty of their own energy.
Mm.
Yes. And working on the humans is going to help all of these other things that we want. Because people will say, oh, I just want to do this. Well, the work that we're doing, whether it's direct or not, is helping the humans. And yes, I know some people are here to work on the land and etc. And that is helping. And that will help the humans. But understand, it's not the land that needs the help. It's not the trees, it's not the bees, etc. In the sense that if we don't bring in the most important equation, which is the humans, we're just going to be in Groundhog Day over and over again of not rectifying, I suppose, what we came back here to rectify.
Which is something we've actually done over and over again many times before.
Yes.
But this time is different.
We're getting it right this time. We really
Yeah.
are. Yeah. We just can't, all kinds of people will say, oh, I've channeled and it's the end of the planet. No, it's not. And Mother Maya, that is her name. Her name is not Gaia. Gaia is a distortion. Her name is Mother Maya. And
Interesting.
yes, and you will know that to be a part of your original coding because you will feel it to be true.
Yes.
Sorry, everyone, if I'm because I understand some people have businesses and programs and such that use that word. Don't worry about it. Look at the word soul is also a distortion, and it is in my business name. So I just say we're on a connecting flight right now. Okay, the word quantum is a distortion. Okay, well, I took my books off the shelf that have quantum until I can fix it. You see what I'm saying? But I'm on a connecting flight. My business is called Soul Journeys. Just like all of us, we are perpetuating distortion without realizing it. Okay. The
Yes.
proper term, by the way, everyone, is soleil. So the word soul is distortion. It is a half truth because the word soul means light. Well, you can extinguish a light in a nanosecond, which is what the Slytherins are trying to do. The word soleil is omnipresent light. That is who we really are. That is why we must not call it the sun. We must call it soleil. And you see, that is why the sun codes are so important to us. You see, because that is us. That literally gives us restoration, helps to make the original coding sparkling in the body, I would just say, to give us the charge that we need. That is why they are blocking the sun. I could go on and on, but that's a whole other story. The point is, we all are spreading distorted information
Yes.
unintentionally.
Yeah.
Only a small fraction of light leaders, I will call them loosely, know that they are purposely doing that. But I will say 99% of us are regurgitating language that has been given to us, myself included, obviously. This is why I really want to be clear with everyone. So this is why I am working, and it's a lot of work, 20 years of content. 20 years of content, okay? So UES, if you Google me right now, you will see that I'm still using the word soul and such because we're in a process. I have already rewritten my Akashic Record books. There's many other books I've rewritten. It's a lot of work, because part of why I'm here is to clear up all the distortion. So of
Interesting.
course I have to look at what I have put out there that is distorted. And I probably won't even get to it all because I won't even remember half of what I've created. You know what I mean? Articles, other such things. But I'm going to do my best. The point is that now at this stage in the ascension journey, we are just tweaking so that we're clearing out any last remnants of the savior sacrifice suffering paradigm, any last remnants of the problem paradigm, any last remnants of the broken healer paradigm, which is really just a product of the savior sacrifice suffering overarching paradigm. We're clearing out any residual mind control and other such programming that keeps us from the truth, capital T truth of who we be and our original coding, but we're almost there.
I love that. I love how you ended. We're almost there. And that's a lot of what I feel too, is we're so close. We're so close. Is it going to take a while? Is to get all the little remnants of everything? Yeah, it's going to take a little while, but
Yeah.
we're getting there. We're making such strides. And I love the fact too that you said the things you had before that you're looking at it and going, oh, that's not quite right. I need to switch it or adjust it to be able to change. And that's why this is something I tell people, this is what I believe right now. This is what I know right now. But allow me to change, allow me to understand more because there's some things I can't take it all in at once. And as I learn and understand and evolve, it's going to change. So just know that. And
Yes.
to give everybody that grace, I think is so important going forward.
Yes, that's why I don't want any of us to judge ourselves for transmitting what we believe to be true. We've been given a vernacular. We have been given,
Yeah.
again, they gave us the language. They gave us the word chakra. They gave us the word quantum. They gave us the word soul, etc.
Hmm.
Now, yes, yes. Well, they created a movie called Quantum.
Yeah, yes, yes, they
And
did.
I know where people's brains are going to go. And yes, I do want you to question that teacher that has a very large population, because
Mm,
honestly, if you look at that person, you can see Slytherin in the face.
yes. And that's the thing to realize is there's some out there that are not coming from the best of places, but more to keep a narrative going that's been going for a very long time. And that is they are there to keep that narrative going.
Mm.
Just be aware. I always tell everybody, just
Yes.
think outside the box. Think with your heart and go from there. I think
Yes.
that's important going forward.
Yes. And uh, I suppose if the system works so well, then someone shouldn't look so sick.
True. True.
Yes, there are certain teachers on the world stage that do not look like their teachings, I suppose, is just the easiest way to say it, you know.
That's a good way
And
to say it.
I'm not talking about size. I'm talking about literal vitality in the
Mm,
eyes and vitality in the face.
yes.
And so but the point is that yes, many of these words have been given to us. You know, sacred geometry has been given to us. Numerology has been given to us. Astrology has been given to us. There are many distortions in the I would just say planetary influences. That's just the easiest way for me to say it. And it doesn't mean it's all wrong, but of course, astrologers are not necessarily going to be happy with me. Human design people, of course, as well, that use astrology for the human design, etc. But most human design people that I work with that are far along the ascension path also recognize it's a tool, and they realize that there are some things in there that they have to kind of interpret deeper than what the system is decoding. Do you know what I mean? Even many astrologers will tell you that. And so the point is that we have been given a language. We are it's been told it to us over and over again. So some of that is spell casting us, and we really believe it to be truth. Some of it is truth. Sometimes there's a kernel of truth within, a big fat lie. I mean, these are the nuances we're in now as light leaders.
Mm.
Is the more we are impeccable stewards of the consciousness, the more we create pristine conditions for the consciousness to thrive in the field, to be crystal clear channels, the more we can spot these little tiny things. And I will give everyone a quick tip, by the way, because I try to be helpful. One of the things that we will say, let's just take, are you okay if I just kind of maybe point out a celebrity on the world stage that's a deceiver with a,
You go for it.
okay. I can say this, I'm Canadian. So you look at Celine Dion and you
Mhm.
say, I look at you. You're not attractive or unattractive, but you are an odd looking woman. Well, woman is because that is not a woman,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And I can go into the big long story about that, but I'm assuming everyone listening already understands that most celebrities on the world stage are inverted, because that's how they create the confusion matrix, to keep inverting creation in our eyes, confusing the brain. And then accepting that as truth, and this is what normal is supposed to look like. But the
Mhm.
point is that we look at her and we say, she looks like a woman, or
Right.
she's dressed like a woman, but
But
we tend to ignore the but,
mm, true.
right? We
True.
listen to certain spiritual teachers. We say, let's say about the quantum, we say, they're saying things that make sense in part to my brain, but they don't look the part, or they don't look healthy, or their face looks a little lizardy, or there doesn't seem to be much depth in the teaching here. There's always going to be a but. But because there's enough truth, what do? We say, there must be something wrong with me. I'm not clear enough. I'm not evolved enough. I have done something wrong, because everyone else seems to understand this quantum silly business that's being propagated. So I just must not be involved. You see, when in doubt, as we know, we always blame ourselves. I am not enough. I am too much. I am whatever.
Right.
Instead of saying, what this person is saying holds some truth for me, but, and just acknowledging the but,
Yes.
we try to figure out what's wrong with us as to why it's not 100% yes.
Instead of saying what's wrong with me, instead of saying what's right with me, why am I
Yes.
picking up on something that
Yes.
isn't sitting well with me, that doesn't resonate with me? Something's off.
Yes.
Something's off.
And for and because I can hear the questions already. Yes, sometimes you're going to not resonate with a teacher simply because they're not your teacher, or they're not your
Right.
teacher. Their medicine is not for you, that you're
Right.
not meant to have that harmonic exchange. So it doesn't mean every time you have a but. It just
Yes.
means that when you now start to go, okay, but, then you can start to study and go, yes, I see that person using a lot of Freemason hand gestures in their materials. Huh.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? Then we start going, oh, now I know. And then you celebrate it. You go, oh, thank goodness I dodged a bullet. I didn't let that person, again, when we are impeccable stewards of our consciousness, we are very pristine about who we allow to inform our consciousness with alleged wisdom.
Yes, that's a good point right there.
Yes. And like I said, some in fact, I would say probably the majority of the time, it's just that we're not meant to have that person's medicine at that time, or perhaps not at all. But when the but has this we really want to find a way in, but we can't find the way in, like it just, the but's very strong. That's
Yes.
where you can go on the Google. It's very easy. You just type in a certain person's name and say hand gestures. You'll be able to see very quickly what they're up to. Some of them are so blatant. Oh goodness, I was just about to name drop there, but some of them are so blatant that they will do the Freemason hand gestures right in their Facebook ads. That's why I call them out. I say, if you were willing to do an ad doing all that, the one eye symbols and all the other silly business,
Hmm.
I didn't out yourself. You outed yourself. Let's have a conversation about why you were doing that in your Facebook ads.
Absolutely.
You get what I'm
Absolutely.
saying, right? And
Oh,
so, but I remember when I first started really discovering a lot of these deceivers in the consciousness space, because of course I thought, oh, it's just fashion. It's just, why would, like, silly, right? Back in the day when I thought, oh, it's all the other industries, not ours. Ours is very pure.
I thought that too.
Yes.
It
And
was like,
so,
oh no.
as you know, there are many that have been on the world stage for quite some time. They end up on Jay Leno, other such things. And
Mhm.
what I have learned, everyone, by the way, if this is helpful, is the ones that are owned, the ones that already came in owned, pretending like they had the rags to riches story and they just came in with benevolence and whatever. If you pay attention to their voice, you will hear a smug, arrogant disdain in the tone of their voice. It will be an undercurrent.
Yes. That's good for people to hear.
Yes. And so you'll start to notice, hey, I really suspect this person is compromised. And they actually speak very similar to this person over here. Now that I check them out, I'm starting to see that they're compromised. I just always look for the golden thread, is my point. And so that is something I have uncovered over the last few years, that there is a tone. I'm here to help the humans, but they talk about the humans as though the humans are beneath them, that they are silly, that they are stupid, which is how the deceivers view us. They view us as dirty, dumb, disgusting, disposable human resources. We are a
Yes.
resource, and our animals are called livestock, again, objectified, right? So when you feel that there is a hint of dirty, disgusting, dumb, disposable human, or some variation of that in the tone, because you will hear it, there will be a harmonic that does not sit well with you. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that that person is owned, but what I'm saying is that might perk up your Scooby-Doo senses, I suppose, your Spidey senses is what I meant to say. To say, I'm either not going to waste my energy because the tone is enough in the voice, or, just do a little tiny bit of research, I promise. You will find that when you because my point is, you will think like some of these people that were on the world stage, I would think, why does everyone follow this person? What's wrong with me? I just can't resonate with this person. Again, you see, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
No, my original coding was saying, stay away from that person, you know. Yes. And so now
It's hard.
granted, yeah,
It's
go ahead.
hard when that happens, I think, because so many people have a lot of these people up on pedestals and they
Yes.
think they're the greatest person, and other people are like, oh, and I'm kind of like, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yes.
And they're like, what's wrong with you? How can you not like that person? And I'm kind of like, I'm to myself, I'm kind of like, at first I couldn't figure out why. And then after a while, it's like, but how can you like them?
Yes, exactly.
And not in a judgment, liking back, but as idolizing them, I should say, idolizing them. How can you idolize them and put them up on a pedestal?
Yes, and that's part of the program because they really much they use false idolatry
Yes.
as part of their system. And in their own system, they use false idolatry and they're always meant to be rising stars, right? That's the goal. And in order to become a rising star and get to the next level of star and to eventually get a star on the Walk of Fame, they use humiliation. They use a
Mm.
reward and humiliation
Yes.
to control their own.
And you
That's
see it.
Oh yes, you can
You
see
see
it
it.
where they build someone up, tear them down, build them up again. Like look at Britney Spears, Mr. Britney Spears. I hope everyone understands Britney Spears is a man. And so yes, but and so they hook us. They're hoping that we will sell our soul to the devil because we are more interested in significance, aka fame,
Yes.
than we are in contribution. And I will tell you, I have been scouted a few times over the years. And I know that has happened to many people because when they see that you're starting to get influential, that you're starting to get a big enough following,
They
they
want.
start to infiltrate your world. They
Hmm.
just will. I have been offered a multitude of reality TV shows over the years to do a show on past life regression, to do a show on, or like helping people with money. And they are just trying to hook you because once they've hooked you, then you're in. Then you're so far in, you go, well, I'm this far in. And then they hook you again. Well, you're this far in, I might as well keep going, you know. But they use the false idolatry as a way to worship and say, oh, I want to be just like that NFL linebacker. I want to be just like that supermodel. I want to be just like that singer. I want to be just like that actor. I want to be just like that politician. Because the programming is so strong. And so I will
Absolutely.
say, no, you actually want to be you.
And that, I think, is the best place to be. By being yourself, you can create all you shall want as you go.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Well, I know I've kept you for probably
Oh
way over.
no. Everyone listening is saying, Mother Malia, will you zip it? Uh,
Not
yes,
me.
yes. Well, I know, no, but perhaps we break it up in sections or something, who knows? But there's so much to share, as we talked about. I can channel, we talked about this before recording, everyone, that both Angela and I channel, of course, and you have everything to channel and nothing to channel unless there's questions. And yet I am really trying to cover more of the meta level things because yes, there are more nuanced steps about how do we move this forward, but there's just so much. There's so much to cover. So I say, what are the meta level things that we want to start tuning into and rewiring unhooking from the program, fully activating the original codes, because really let's outcreate this. If we just restore our original codes, we really will not even be bothered with world stage. Then we're really just all focused on what's the earth we want to create for ourselves. Let's just go do that, you know. And I know that sounds simple, but it is simple and yet profound at the same time.
Is that something, I know we're getting to the end here, but is there some, as you say, I know it sounds simple, is there some simple wording or some simple ideas to give people to how to keep your focus and keep your attention to that joy to help build that within yourself to make this change in the world? Because I know there's a
Okay.
lot of light workers listening to this. There's a lot of people
Yeah.
who really in their heart, they do want a different world and they're willing to
Yeah.
do that change. They're willing to do those steps. Is there
Yes.
something that you could offer to help them to keep that focus?
Yes, the first thing is I like to play around with these words. I say this very playfully, either have your sacred rage or your sacred indignation, meaning you know they're coming for your consciousness. So now let's be a honey badger about it and say, nope, actually, I'm going to be an impeccable steward of my consciousness. And I'm not going to be hypnotized by the Netflix anymore because I know what that's all about. It's all predictive programming, not to mention there are so many, there's so much spell casting in there, you won't even realize it's happening.
Yes.
And I understand that can be a habit, but even how do I wean myself off of that? And I say Netflix, but you know, all of the programming, even the music. Let's just make your own music because frankly, most music has been tampered with. And so let's get out your crystal singing bowls. Let's get out your drums. Let's get out your shakers. Let's get out your voice even. Your voice is a wonderful instrument. And by the way, okay, yes, very easy tip, very, very easy tip. Let's hum like the bee for 5 minutes a day. Then let's increase it because that is the hum of creation. It does, you don't have to worry about, do I sound like a bee? You're holding the intention of, I am transmitting the hum of creation through me. That is going to strengthen your nice, beautiful little harp inside your throat to ensure even more beautiful harmonics come out. It's going to raise your vibration because you're restoring original codes. Now, as far as the joy factor, it will sound easy to everyone. Oh, 3 hours, I can do 3 hours. Okay, send me a message and let me know because I'm telling you, I work with very clear channels and they say, oh, Mother Malia, I'm doing my best right now to do 45 minutes. I say, yes, I know, sweetheart, because it's not, even my human can tell you. If you were telling my human this, I would say, what a joke. And then I will try it and say, oh, goodness, you know. So it's a muscle you will develop, but what brings you joy? For me, of course, it's different now, but if I was just in my human, being around animals brings me joy. I could be around horses for 8 hours and think I've just been there for an hour and
Mhm.
just in pure joy. Being out in nature, being in the water, being in the sun, being at the beach, being around your gardening. You know, I have over 100 houseplants. Very easy to live in the present moment when you have your hands in soil. I'm giving you just very practical tips because the crystals are not going to bring you joy.
Right.
And some of those crystals are deception as well. The music can, dancing can, but what brings me joy and what am I going to rotate into my thing? Now, then eventually you just start getting used to this being your resting state. So you might
Right.
think that sounds like a lot of work. I've got to carve out 3 hours where I'm only dancing or I'm only with animals, etc. Well, you will build up to that, but eventually you see how I can be present to what's going on in the world and still be in joy. It does not mean that my joy is somehow bypassing or pretending like this stuff doesn't exist. I am well aware of what exists,
Mm.
but I don't I can hold neutrality around that, simply meaning I am not making meaning of that. I'm not judging it. I'm simply acknowledging, yes, there is the presence of all of these energies, uh, and I can be in joy. Because joy, again, it's the frequency expressing as joy. So joy makes it sound simple, like, oh, I'm just going to take a happy pill. No, it is the highest frequency. And the way to access that highest frequency is to be humming like a bee, to be around the sacred horse, to be around the sacred cow, even if you are just connecting with them telepathically, because those are going to restore your original codes. Original codes are restored in salt water. If you can't be around salt water, you can't have a saltwater bath. Can you have a little basin of salt water every day, soak your feet? Can
Mm.
you have a spoonful of honey every day to have your original coating restored? Can you have original brown coconut every day? I don't want you to eat those young living coconuts. Those are bastardized, just like the banana used to be the plantain, but they manipulate our food as well. There's a reason why Dole and Chiquita and other such companies buy up all the tropical islands because they're trying to hijack our original foods. Eating seaweed every day, that is an original food. You know, so there are ways to, I talk a lot about this in the membership, so I'm just trying to distill this, but There are ways to, even like saffron oil on your skin is very, and castor oil. I actually blend the two because castor oil is, if you've used it, is a little bit sticky. So
Yeah.
I blend the saffron oil and the castor oil, and then I put either a drop of lemon or a drop of lemongrass in there. Very much about the fountain of youth. It's very, the body loves that, I'm telling you. Remembering that you are the ceremony and the celebration, and also remembering your body is. So what kind of rituals can you do every day to acknowledge the body, to gently rub the oils in and massage your hands as you're doing it, massage your feet and brush your hair. Oh goodness, there's so much to share. I don't know if that was helpful, Angela.
That was very helpful. It reminded me of something I do is every time I'm taking a shower or bath, whatever. And I always, I'm washing my feet and I always thank my feet as I'm washing them because I always say, thank you for all the adventures you've already taken me on. I can't
Oh,
wait to see all the adventures we have from here. And so I'm always thanking them like, thank you so much for all you've done for me already and how far we can go from here and all the new adventures we can experience. I can't wait to see what we do together. So
yeah.
it's it's in those small little things. I mean, it's a lot of times people look at such big things that they have to do these big things, but it's taking the time to think of all the small things you can do for yourself, and it all adds up. It all adds up.
Oh yes, and it's a practice, So yes, we have the mission. Yes, there's important things going on. But part of your mission really is to cultivate the joy. That literally is going to be an essential part of the mission to amplify the energy. And so a lot of what might seem like work in other circumstances, all of these things really genuinely contribute to your ability to be fully in your mission and to spread it way more quickly.
Absolutely. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. And I am just so thankful we got to meet. And I always say the synchronicity of who I meet is never forgotten on me. I look at it like, oh, what a beautiful time, all the people I get to meet, and I got to meet you today, and I know I've met you before. That I
Yes.
know.
Yes.
And I feel we've helped so many people understand things at a lot deeper level today. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done, everything you've been doing, everything you're going to continue to do. And I know the changes you're going to continue to keep experiencing. I thank you for all you're doing for all of us. I appreciate it greatly.
Well, thank you. You are broadcasting. You're like a, central tower for the light grid, just broadcasting the light all the time.
Oh, thank you.
And yes, we need signal towers like you to be bringing the energy together and radiating it out far and wide. It's a very essential part, and I know this is only a part of your mission, but thank you for who you be, and thank you for your contribution. And yes, and really thank you all of you for listening, because you will not be here, you will not be resonating with Angela and of course and with me today if you are not already well immersed into your mission. So it's really with a great joy and honor and privilege and a deep bow to all of you, and especially you, Angela, for bringing us all together, because but for you we will not be all uniting this way today.
Well, I always look at I'm playing a small role for all of them because they have a mission. And just like you have Mother Malia, and she has a mission with you. And I know all of the ones I've worked with and will continue, and more I'm meeting all the time. They have a mission. And, I always wondered, they wanted me to call my monthly group the Amplified Universe. And when you brought up what the Amplified Universe, I'm like, oh, because they said it was the more people get together, we amplify our energy together. And you don't even have to know the other people you're working with. But as you're putting these beautiful messages out, and for all the people listening, this is I always say I'm not special. I'm just here doing what I want to do. And everybody here has their own specialties, and everybody is just as important. There is nobody less than anyone else in this world anywhere. And if you look at yourself and know whatever I'm doing is helping not only myself but everyone else, and when you're visualizing the future you want to see, ask your energy to join up with the other people. You don't have to know them. You could never have met them. Just ask your energy. Everybody here are energy workers. Energy goes together. Ask it to go together and join with everyone else's and create this beautiful amplified energy that we are creating. All of us are doing it together. All of us.
Yeah.
And just like you couldn't do it yourself. You need other people to step on board and be part of that.
Yeah.
We all do. We all do. We're all part of this. We're not separate from it. And we're all just as important and just as powerful as anyone else out there.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, when I talk about significance, it is remembering that you are significant. You're a
Yes.
significant part of the collective. And it's that we want to make sure we remember that we are significant without seeking significance. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Oh,
Oh,
I love,
no.
thank you so much. I appreciate it so much, Jennifer.
Thank
And
you.
Mother Malia, I appreciate it so much for all that's been said and joined. And I just want to say one other thing is for everyone, when you're listening to this, just realize there is a resonance coming off of all of the words that were spoken tonight, a resonance that is felt on a whole different level that even if you don't understand or don't quite get everything that was said, it doesn't matter. The resonance is felt by you and makes a difference and is shared by not only there's Mother Malia, there's Jennifer, there's me, there's my team, there's all of the others around us. They are all sharing that resonance for everyone listening now and whoever will listen in the future. All those people are going to hear that resonance. They're going to feel it. So I just had to share that.
Yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to share before we close?
Oh, goodness. Oh, I'm sure people are saying, goodness, Mother Malia. I just really will love you all to remember that you are the gift, you are the ceremony, you are the celebration.
Oh,
And because of that, you really matter. You are an essential part of this, just for your own experience, of course, and then for the collective. No matter what you are doing or not doing, your brain's going to judge it. You are already doing enough. You are already enough because you're already divine. You're already created in divine perfection.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the extra time with everyone. I just feel it's really needed, and especially now, it's so needed for people to hear this message. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to encourage everyone, make sure to go to Jennifer's website. It's souljourneys.ca. Make sure to go on there. She has the Sacred Hive membership, and she's also on the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, YouTube. And so go on her website, you'll find all the information, and there's so much good information on there. So make sure you're taking the time to check her out and go on Amazon, her books, and especially her new one, Mother Malia's new book, The Daily Message from Mother Malia, The Great Mother, a spiritual guidebook to awaken your full potential and inspire individual living every day of the year. I think that's so important. And I love how you do your books because I do the same way. I'm like, tell me what I need to know, and I open it up and read what I
Yes.
need. And I love that your book is made that way. That is so cool. So
Yes.
I want to encourage everybody to go out and check that out. And also, there's a free offer down below on the link. So click on the link to get that free offer. And I just want to say again, Thank you so much, Jennifer and Mother Malia. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for sharing your time. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
And then for all of you listening, thank you so much for listening and being here to right to the end. We had so much to share. And make sure to watch the next episode of Edge Talk Radio on the first and third Tuesdays of the month at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. But if you missed it, if you couldn't get it all in, no worries. You can listen to the podcast as a downloadable podcast, or you can watch the interview, which I think is better to watch. Is you can go to my YouTube channel. You can also go to Edge Talk Radio's YouTube channel and you can watch it there. And also, I just want to thank all of you. Thank you all for listening, expanding, and amplifying our universe together. Have an absolutely amazing day.